Hey there, Angela Master Giacomo, founder of Muddy Paw PR here, and a very sleepy Sawyer. I am thrilled you joined us for today's masterclass, How to Get Your Next 1,000 Fans, and I personally can't wait to get started. We have tons of strategies here, including something you can use within the first 5 minutes. So I'm not gonna keep you waiting. I hope you love it. Well, let's get started. Today we're talking about 3 simple steps that lead to higher engagement, sold out shows, and life-changing opportunities. I'm going to be giving you strategies to help you break through those frustrations and get through any blocks you might be experiencing, because I'll let you in on a little secret. When we learn to talk to our fans in a very specific and authentic way, doors start to open, connections form, and quite frankly, it's a lot more fun. Today I'm going to show you how to crush those lingering doubts, stop wasting time on the wrong audience, and instead start to feel excited about your career again by creating a highly engaged fan base and attracting career-changing opportunities that lead to more engagement, more streams, and more profits. I'm going to suggest you turn off all distractions and try to focus fully on this masterclass. I can promise you, if you can give me your full attention for the next hour, I will be able to give you strategies to help you build your engagement and apply that to new opportunities. But if you try and multitask, you're losing out on valuable information and time, and I don't want that for you. And I'm actually going to give you a strategy you can use right away in the first 5 minutes here, so hang tight. On that note, please stay with me until the end, not only because I want to hang out longer, but because I'm going to tell you how you can get a free bio written by me and my team, as well as full access to me for the next month, and another bonus that is not available anywhere else, but I'm going to save that one as a surprise until the end. Now, these are all really incredible resources that go hand in hand with what we're talking about today. I'm also going to give you another freebie just for being here and hanging out until the end. Okay, now remember I said I was going to give you something in the first 5 minutes that you could apply right away? This is it. Now, I see a lot of you struggling with what to post. If you know your social media needs some fresh content, but you're running in circles trying to think of new ideas, you are going to love this activity. I like to call this Instagram roulette. You spend 3 to 5 minutes scrolling through Instagram and either save or screenshot the posts that jump out at you. Make a special collection for it and everything, maybe title it something like Instagram Inspiration. Don't focus on reading every detail, but when something sticks out to you, go ahead and save that post. This isn't about reading the content of the post so much as it is about the visual element grabbing you. The caption is important, but you need to grab their attention first. It's about getting people to stop scrolling and start paying attention. Once you've done that, go back and choose your top 3. Go with your first instinct on this. Don't overthink it. Next, figure out what they have in common and why they speak to you. Is it the colors in the photo? Is it the photo itself? Like, is it a live shot or a candid shot, or is it abstract? Is it the content? What about the content? Is it inspirational? Is it witty? Is it long or is it short? Really pay attention and write it all down. Then I want you to take about 10 to 20 minutes, maybe put on your favorite album, and move to the second part of this exercise. Now, I want you to choose one photo to study and then make it your own. Ask yourself, what photo can you use? Maybe you have a live shot, or maybe you can take a quick selfie with your album, or a behind the scenes photo of the band just hanging out and eating pizza before the show. Then you work on the caption. What was it about this one you liked? As you're writing out your own caption, feel free to reference certain words or rhythms that your inspiration used. Obviously, you don't want to plagiarize, but there's nothing wrong with trying to replicate the details of a post that you like. If you're really getting into this and you want to make it an ongoing thing, which I would encourage, then once you're done with this exercise, go back to those accounts along with finding other emerging artists of similar size to you and study what kind of things they're posting. The best way to get ideas is simply to look at what others are doing and see what's working, and then make it your own. So pay attention and even make a list of what topics they post about and what resonates with you. Look at the kind of photos and hashtags they use and see what's getting the most engagement. If you can create a library of ideas and continually add to it, it'll mean never feeling stuck or confused about what to post again. You'll simply turn that spreadsheet and choose a topic and a set of hashtags, and you'll be good to go. If you're here, I'm guessing it's because of one of three reasons. Reason number one, you want to make a difference with your music. Plain and simple, you believe in connection and the power of community, and you want to leave the world a better place than you found it. Or maybe this is you. You're tired of fighting the algorithm and trying to get in front of fans. You know your fans want to hear from you, so why does it seem so difficult? Does that sound like you? Or maybe you want a career in the music industry more than anything, and you're committed to doing whatever it takes to make this happen. But you just don't know where to start. Sound familiar? Which of these resonates most with you? I'm going to give you some strategies to help alleviate some of these pain points, but just know that it's okay to admit where we're at now, and that I and so many of the clients I've worked with, who I'm now showcasing as success stories, have been there and felt that. And whatever the reason, I'm really glad you're here. I can't wait to work together over the next 45 minutes and get closer to your goals. I have a bit of a confession before we go on. I am not a patient person. I don't enjoy the thrill of the chase, and for over 5 years, I found myself feeling lost, confused, and frustrated as I tried to build a career in this industry and kept hitting every wall imaginable. But when I started implementing these strategies, I went from being laid off to making the same income as I had been at my 40-hour week, 9 to 5, within the first year. I then doubled that yearly income within 2 years and have continued to grow each year. I've created multiple revenue streams through the connections and strategies that we'll be talking about today, and now I want to pass some of that along to you. Trust me, if I can do this, so can you. A little background, I've spent 10 years running my own blog, Infectious Magazine, as well as writing for sites like Soundfly, Sonic Bids, and TuneCore, and speaking at South by Southwest and CD Baby, among others. Since launching Muddy Paw PR 5 years ago, I've gained my clients placement on sites such as Alternative Press, Noisy, and Adobe, and helped them reach hundreds of thousands of Spotify streams, play the festival circuit, and build a super solid fan base that's willing to invest their time as well as their money. Imagine for a moment what it would feel like to have a thriving, engaged fan base that's excited about your releases, goes to all your shows, and tells all their friends about you. Can you imagine knowing that every time you played a show you'd fill the room? That every single social media post you make from here on out will be met with excitement and comments and an eager, earnest desire to connect? Can you imagine never again worrying that you won't make it? Finding your next 1,000 fans means learning to connect with your audience in a way that makes sense for them. And you'll know when you've hit on that because you'll start to see higher engagement, shares, streams, higher turnout at shows. And when you start to really see that engagement grow, it's going to change your entire outlook on social media and the meaning and power of community. It's going to be fun again. Okay, enough chatting. Are you ready to get to the actual techniques and strategies? All right, here we go. The first step to finding your next 1,000 fans is to identify your brand. I want you to keep in mind as we're going through this that your fans already think the world of you. I know it can be nerve-wracking trying to find the right brand or write the perfect social media post, but just know that a lot of this is trial and error and that the fans you do have, they're not going anywhere and they already think you're amazing. That's important to remember. All we're doing here is building on that foundation. No matter how small, these strategies can work for you. Now, if you've heard of Simon Sinek and either watched his TED Talk or read any of his books, then you know how incredible they are. And if you haven't heard of him, I want you to bookmark that TED Talk right away because it is seriously life-changing. But the main takeaway and the thing I want you to remember is this brilliant quote from the talk, which is, "People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it." Knowing your why, that is, why you are pursuing a career in one of the toughest yet most rewarding industries, is an incredible foundational step to getting in front of the right fans. It's also a foundational step to booking more gigs and getting endorsements, getting an interview, or landing a certain playlist. Knowing your why means no longer having to convince people to come to the show or buy the $30 sweatshirt, They'll just do it because they want to support you. Has anyone ever wondered, what do I even post about? I know that I for sure have been there, and it can feel really overwhelming to want so badly to connect, to give your audience something of value, but not know how to do it. Now, here's a quick example of a band that has no idea what their why is versus a band that does. I want you to see how big of a difference it can make in not only how you present yourself, but in what you post. Because the reality is, when you know your why, it makes knowing what to post so much easier. When you know you're a band with, say, a heavy why around saving the planet, then you know your content should largely revolve around that and not just posting photos of pizza. Although, I do love a good pizza photo. A band that doesn't know their brand might say, "We're from Cleveland, we play rock music, and we sound like Yellowcard and All Time Low." It's not bad, right? You have the influences in there and you say where you're from, but unless I already know and like those two bands, I'm going to be a little lost. And on top of that, it only tells me what you sound like, not who you are. And remember, what you sound like gets fans in the door, but it's the deeper connection to our why that keeps them and turns them into super fans. Now let me show you an example of a really clear why from Shadow of Wales. We're an alternative indie rock band, and we're on a mission to spread hope and love as far as sound can reach. No matter where you are or what you're going through, know that 5 dorky dudes from Texas love you, care about you, believe in you, and want you to be okay. See the difference? Instantly, you get a really clear idea of who these guys are, their personality, and the kind of music they make in just a few short sentences. Not only that, if Shadow of Wales ever gets stuck wondering what to post, all they have to do is look back at that to better understand what kind of mood they should be creating on social media. There are a few things you can do as soon as you get off this masterclass that will help you identify your brand. The first is study the bands you love. Pay attention to what it is you like and don't like about them, and start to think about how that can be applied to your own brand. I'm talking about looking at their social media and taking note of their captions, their hashtags, the kind of photos they take. I want you to look at their live show, the energy, the way they dress. I want you to watch interviews and see how they convey themselves. Are they hyper and high energy? Are they quiet and introspective? What resonates with you? That's the start of your brand. Second, get clear on your why. Why is it you do this every day? This is not an easy industry, and you're here because you're feeling frustrated, so ask yourself, despite this frustration, what keeps me going? Remember, it's not to be famous or play to thousands of fans. Those are just results. You want to go deeper. If you want to play to thousands of screaming fans, ask yourself why. What is that feeling that I'm after? What does getting to do that mean for me? That's your why. Third, create your elevator pitch. Imagine you're stuck in an elevator with someone you really want to pitch. You only have the time in that elevator to tell them who you are and why they should care. So you want to have a quick go-to sentence or two that describes clearly and concisely the kind of music you make and why that matters. Kind of like the example we just looked at with Shadow of Wales. This helps you when someone asks you this question at a networking event, but like we talked about, it also means that every time you get ready to post something, you'll be able to refer back to that elevator pitch and say, does what I'm about to post align with this? Fourth, put it into action. You can research until you're blue in the face, but at some point, you have to just get out there and put it all into action. It doesn't have to be perfect right away, and to be honest, it almost certainly won't be. But I promise it's going to be okay. You've got to just get out there, practice, and be willing to fall flat on your face if you want to make progress. And one last tip with branding. Knowing your brand means knowing what to post, even and especially when you have no new releases. Having new releases is actually a blessing in this case because it forces you to focus on the message you're putting out there rather than relying on the same techniques that don't work of just blasting your fans with your music and nothing deeper. Trust me when I say that the time between releases is one of the most lucrative times to build and nurture your fan base. Not only because it means creating momentum for when you do release, but because it forces you to get clear on your message and connect with your fans outside of just your music. This next section might just be my favorite. It's all about finding your community. There's a whole world of people out there just waiting for what you have to offer, and now we're going to look at how to really get in front of them and build that. And look, building an engaged audience doesn't have to be overwhelming. At its best, it should be one of the most natural things you do. One of my favorite quotes around this is a Frank Turner song where he says, "No one gets remembered for the things they didn't do." I love this because not only is it a great anthem of inspiration and reminding you to chase your dreams, but I think it's a really good reminder to check in with your community and be present. If we're always guarded, if we never let people in, how can we truly make an impact on the lives of those around us? How can we expect to leave a legacy, however great or small, if we don't invite others into our world? You'll know you found your community because you'll see a whole lot of people start to say, "It's like you're in my head." Has anyone ever seen a certain Instagram post and you just thought like, "Oh my god, I could have written this"? That is what we're going for here. I don't know about you, but I'm an examples girl. I learn best when I can see exactly what it is I'm supposed to be doing and then use that to create something uniquely my own. So the next few slides have specific examples of the kind of posts that actually work for generating community and engagement. So instead of just guessing what to do, I'm going to show you exactly what to do. Now here we have Forts Lake Vanna. The reason I chose this post is that it embodies the first rule of building a community, which is to show who you are. Because you can't really connect with people if you don't give them anything to work with. Now, a lot of artists tend to get very worried about appearing unprofessional or not being taken seriously if they veer away from talking about their music, but it's actually the opposite. If you want people to connect with you, you have to show them who you are outside of the music you make. And the reason I chose this photo is not only does it show who they are and invite fans to connect with that, but it's very simple. It's not a professional or high quality photo. It's not a long or introspective caption, and yet it received over 300 likes and tons of comments. Why? First, it's incredibly simple to grasp. It's not complex in any way, and that means the audience can quickly understand and respond to it. Second, this is a photo and caption that makes the band look incredibly accessible. Like, you could have been partying with them if you'd been in Orlando, which is true. This also goes to the photo. It's nothing fancy, it's just a quick snapshot like you'd do with your friends. And it's great to have some professional, high quality photos and celebrate your major wins, and we'll talk more about that later, but too much of that can feel unorganic and inaccessible for your audience, and it can actually cause them to disengage. Remember, the ordinary moments are what connect us the most. The second thing to keep in mind is you want to be relatable. When it comes to relatability, Shadow of Whales are experts at this. Their captions range from quick and sharp to introspective and encouraging, but they're always relatable. In this example, they're speaking directly to their audience in a highly branded caption that reads, "This is Jeremy's version of the Mario jump." And then they tag their photographer, which is also important. Now, what's so smart about this is they could have just posted this photo and said, "Come see us at, whatever show tonight." But instead, they used it as an opportunity to show their fans how similar they are to each other. They did this by pairing an awesome photo of them completely in their element, an element that most of us can't relate to unless we're musicians, with something we can relate to, Mario, so it becomes instantly accessible and instantly relatable. And to be honest, it's just fun. And then what that photo does is, instead of alienating us because we can't relate, it unites us because the caption brings us together through a common interest. You see what I mean? Another way to build your community is to simply show appreciation. Now, this should go without saying, but you need to show your fans how much they mean to you. Not only after major events, but in the day to day. Don't just assume they know you appreciate them. Make an effort to remind them often and express that gratitude. It really does go a long way. Keep in mind, your music is merely a part of the equation as to why someone follows you. It's just as much about their experience when they choose to follow you or go to a show as it is the music itself. It's about how they view themselves in relation to your brand. There's a lot of great music out there, but you can't count on it alone to make you successful. Great music is the baseline for entry into the music industry. If you really want to see yourself grow, it's about making sure your fans always feel a part of your story. The third step to getting your next 1,000 fans is something we're all naturals at, but tend to hide away, and that is showing the process, not the product. In a nutshell, your fans want to be a part of your life, so let them be. Now think about your favorite band. What is it that draws you to them? Forget the music, go deeper. There's something else there that connects you. Maybe it's the relatability of their lyrics. Maybe you can just relate to their story. Maybe it's a playfulness you feel from them. Whatever it is, you likely won't find yourself saying, well, I like them because they're very guarded, or I don't feel like I know anything about them and I like that. And that's because the most successful bands connect with their audience by inviting them into their world through storytelling and through showing their personality and making sure their audience always feels a part of the process. As humans, it's process that we're most fascinated by so much more than the finished product. Why else do we watch things like The Bachelor and literally any movie or TV show? We want to be along for the journey. Imagine for a second what it would feel like to just be yourself, and by doing that, and just that, generate more engagement, sell more merch, book more shows, and create more opportunities for yourself. It really can be this simple, and it doesn't have to be something you pour hours and hours into. You're busy. You don't have time to spend 5 hours a day on Instagram. But even 10 minutes of commenting on your fans' posts or 15 minutes of hashtag research can all add up to hundreds of new followers per week. And these are followers that will have an actual genuine interest in you. These aren't vanity techniques to grow an arbitrary following. These are techniques that get you serious results and move the needle towards those larger goals. Now, these are fans that stream your songs and come to your shows and buy your merch and tell their friends about you. Hundreds of new fans a week isn't just a way to grow your following for the sake of it. It's hundreds of potential sales and streams and people at your shows. It's hundreds of new people vouching for you or introducing you to your next big opportunity. To put this into perspective, even on the modest side, if you grow your following by 15 people per day, 5 days a week, which is totally doable, that's up to 4,000 new followers and fans per year. And that's being incredibly modest. Remember that article by Kevin Kelly? You only need 1,000 true fans to be successful. Shadow of Whales employ these techniques every day with their fans, and as a result, they've played Warped Tour and So What, made the CMJ Top 200, and performed at and won at the Independent Music Awards just this year. And they quite literally couldn't have done this without their fans. Many of the opportunities, including the votes for the awards and the festivals they played, came from their fans' persistence at getting the band in front of the right people. They did this through votes and shares and streams, and by turning up at shows. Simply put, they felt like the band invested in them, and so their fans invested right back. And Katie Garibaldi has built her career off the support of her fans, and it's allowed her to make music her full-time career, gain features on in-demand sites like No Depression, The Deli, and Guitar Player magazine, and led to a long-standing endorsement with Breed Love Guitars. Ships Have Sailed have fans show their support in the form of over 620,000 streams on just one song on Spotify, and the band also won the 2018 USA Songwriting Competition and had features on top industry sites like Earmilk and Paste. You do not see this kind of success through guarded or inconsistent social media strategies. You only see it when you commit to put in the work, create the content, get out there and meet people, and build a true community. Now again, because I'm all about the examples, I want to make sure that you know exactly what I mean when I say to show the process, not the product. So I'm going to show you a couple really good examples of artists doing exactly that. Now here we have Shadow of Whales literally taking you behind the scenes of their music video, which of course is one way to share the process. Not only that, they get a little vulnerable with their fans by apologizing for the video being late and telling them they were sick all week. And they didn't have to do that, but instead of trying to be perfect or polished, they were simply real. And the results speak for themselves. And the reason I love this example from Veda Black is because she both physically and emotionally shares her process. First, we have the physical, sharing the phone recording of the song that she's working on, which not only gets fans excited for new material, but makes them feel closer to her. Next, she shares the emotional process in her caption to describe how she's been feeling and how it's inspired this song. She uses it as a catalyst for connection, and it works. Lastly, I want to show you an example from Ships Have Sailed. In this, they're doing a couple really smart things. The first is they're listening to their fans. They say right in the first line of that caption that fans have been asking what inspired their latest song. Second, they took that curiosity and they invited fans into it. They didn't just ignore them or say, well, too bad, we're not going to tell you. They went, oh, they're curious. Well, let's give them more of what they want. Now remember, your fans will always tell you what they want. You just have to listen. Quick recap. Veda Black's Instagram posts average over 800 likes and more than 20 comments per post. Shadow of Wales' frequent high engagement has landed them the attention of the Independent Music Awards, which they won in June 2019, as well as helped them play Warped Tour and So What, and land licensing deals and radio play across North America. Ships Have Sailed's attention to their fans led them to accrue over 132,000 followers on social media and over 600,000 Spotify streams on one song alone. Now, I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you, and these strategies, when implemented correctly, will help those numbers grow, but just know that you can have just as much impact without hundreds of likes or tens of thousands of followers. What we're going for here is engagement that leads to action, like coming out to a show or sharing your song or buying your merch. So don't get too wrapped up in the numbers. There are a lot of successful musicians and even entrepreneurs like myself who have built full-time profitable careers as artists and in the industry without tens of thousands of followers. So just keep that in mind. We want engagement that leads to action, not just meaningless likes. I know I've done a lot of talking, but I want to show you a few more real life examples because it's one thing for me to tell you how it works or show you the end result, but it's another to see how that came to be and to hear it straight from the artist's mouth. So I want to share a few quick stories, the first being from Ships Have Sailed. And one of their first major opportunities actually came from Twitter, and it came from a fan. Well, I share a story of a fan who reached out on Twitter asking if she could forward one of their songs to her friend Pat, who had a show at SiriusXM. And the band was kind of skeptical, they didn't really believe that anything major could come from social media, but they figured, what can it hurt? And so their fan passed along the music and they didn't think about it. Well, it turns out Pat was Pat Monahan, singer of Train, and what started as a fan on Twitter sharing their music led to 5 of their singles being played on his show, which reaches millions of listeners. SiriusXM has over 33 million subscribers, and Ships Have Sailed have now had access to those 33 million subscribers 5 times. Their songs have been played to millions, not to mention shared in influential industry circles, and that never would have happened had it not been for that fan connection. And Shadow of Wales also found success through Twitter. It's how their music ended up in front of over 200,000 visitors per year, per store, when their music began rotation in Starbucks stores across North America. And they also had the opportunity to play Warped Tour and hang out with major label artists at an after party because their fans voted them in on social media. Not to mention they won the Independent Music Awards, including a Voice of the People Award, which is a direct result of votes through social media by their fans. They literally could not have done it without them. They've also seen a huge and consistent increase in show attendance since changing their social media strategy and using it to connect with fans and bring them into their world. John Patty is one of my favorite examples of what can happen when you get really clear about your brand and your audience. I actually had the opportunity to work with John when he was just starting out, and then again after his rebranding, and I can tell you from a PR and engagement standpoint, the difference in interest from current and potential fans was enormous. He went from a disjointed brand, an audience that was lacking, and minimal engagement to more Spotify streams and tangible results like booking more shows, higher fan turnout at those shows, and more merch sales on his website. Not to mention raising over $5,000 in crowdfunding money and securing his first partnership all within a year of getting clear on his brand and serious about his social media strategy. Now imagine if he continued stumbling through, trying to make this broken strategy work, instead of realizing he needed a change and making the decision to alter his trajectory. He'd probably still be struggling and wondering what he was doing wrong.
And that's going to wrap things up. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for the last half hour or so. I know that this was jam-packed with tons of information, and I just can't wait to hear all about how you apply it and hear your success stories. So please follow me on Instagram at Angela_Mastro and tag me as you're going through all of this. I would love to hear where you're at and keep in touch with you. So thank you again, and I will see you soon.